everyone, it's Ian, the singing budgeter, and I'm so glad we have this time together. So welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I'm a singer-actor here in Orlando, Florida, and I'm on a journey to becoming debt-free. Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be doing a breakdown of my budget for the month of October of 2023. But before we get started, how's everyone doing? I hope you had a great rest of your month. I had an awesome rest of my month. I actually decided to go to Disney World for a few days. I just needed some time off to rest and relax. I went to a couple of the parks. It just was a wonderful trip and a great way to basically end my month. And so I hope everybody else had a wonderful rest of your month. But we're going to dive right into today's video because some things are going to be changing, unfortunately, for this month and not for the better. As you probably know, student loans are going to be kicking back in this month, and I'm no exception. And so that is going to be tweaking my monthly budget here. And, this is going to be a process trying to figure out what I'm going to be budgeting for, especially with my sinking funds and my cash envelopes. I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to fit with my student loans coming in. So it's going to be a process, but I'm anxious to get started. So let's begin. All right, first and foremost, what I like to do is I like to go over to my calendar just to see how the month plays out. All right, and if you've been watching my videos, you know that I am paid weekly, and my month actually doesn't begin until the 5th of October because my last paycheck in September covered the first 4 days of the month. So my month starts on the 5th. And I've color-coded each week to show where my paycheck is going to be allocated, whether it be expenses or investments or any of my bills. My expenses are going to be in gray, my investments are going to be in green, and then my debt is going to be in blue. So as you can see, just everything is kind of laid out for the month. Nothing really different from other months except for, as you can see, on the 21st, my student loans are due. Woohoo! So we're going to dive right into my budget for the month because, as I said, it's going to be affecting how I budget for my cash envelopes and my sinking funds. But first and foremost, let's start with my income. And just because of the way the month is playing out date-wise, usually I have a few streams of income that come in, but the way it's working out this month, I'm only going to have my full-time job and one other stream of income, just because of the way the dates are working out. But that means the next month I'll have extra cash flow, which will be kind of nice. But for October, I have my full-time job. And if you've been watching my videos, you know I'm a 40-hour-a-week employee, and that is what I allocate every week for my paycheck budget. I do have the opportunity to make some overtime and some extra money here and there, but I never want to budget for that just because it doesn't happen often enough to make it consistent. So I stick with my 40 hours, and I believe this is a 4-paycheck month, so I should be expecting to get $3,689.24. And as I said before, usually I have a couple of streams of income, one being church choir, but I'm usually paid a couple of days into the month, and I was paid already for the month of October, and that was allocated to my September budget. And then my November budget begins on the 2nd of November, and I'm not expecting to receive my payment from church choir until probably the 4th or 5th, and so unfortunately I can't put down any church choir income for this month. So I'm going to be under what I usually budget on top of my student loans. So again, it's going to create this unusual budget for the month, I guess. So the only other stream of income that I do have is coming from my Bank of America credit card. It's the cash back that I receive. And that is going to be for the month of November. Now, I don't exactly know the number, so I usually just budget $35, and I'm hoping it's going to be a little higher than that, but 35 seems to be at least the average for what I normally get. So that is going to be my income for the month. So when we tally that up, $3,724.24 for the month, which is a little lower than usual, but that's okay. We're going to work with that amount. All right. And then let's move on to my debts and expenses. Now, first up is debt. Now, I have a couple of debts. I have my mortgage, which is due on the 1st of every month. And then I have my student loans, which are kicking back up, which are going to be due on the 21st of the month. And then I also have my Bank of America credit card, which is the only other debt that I have besides my mortgage and my student loans. My mortgage for October was taken care of by my last paycheck in the month of September. So I'm going to be budgeting for my mortgage for the month of November. But I'm going to start with what is due first in this month, which is going to be my Bank of America credit card. All right, and that is going to be $74, and it's going to be due on the 17th. All right, next, my student loans. If you watched my very first video, you know that I have about $56,000 worth of student loans, and that is really the main focus that I'm really going to be trying to pay down as quickly as possible once I take care of my credit card debt. But student loans are going to be due on the 21st, and I owe $350.57 this month. Now, I do have a question for all of you out there. I am on a graduated payment plan with my student loans, which means every 2 years, the amount that I owe bumps up a certain amount. Now, I know that the SAVE plan is kind of being advertised as a really good alternative to paying off your student loans, and I'm definitely looking into that. It is an income-based repayment plan. But my only question, I think, is my interest rate that I have currently with my student loans is 5.2, I believe. And I know that interest rates currently are much higher than that. And so if I move to the SAVE plan, does anybody know if my interest rate is going to go up? Or will it stay the same and I just change the type of payment plan that I'm on? So if you know the answer to that, please comment below. It is definitely going to help me decide whether or not I stick with this graduated payment plan or if I switch over to the SAVE plan. So student loans are going to be due on the 21st, and it's $350.57. And then last, I have my mortgage and escrow, and that is going to be for the month of November. Now, back in September, I mentioned that my mortgage and escrow increased, and that was mainly due to the increase of my insurance. And so I have a new amount that started at the beginning of October, and so it will be exactly the same for November, and that is $1,583.23. And that is going to be due on the 1st of the month. All right, so total debt for the month of October is going to be $2,007.80. Now let's move on to my bills. All right, I'm just going to fill this out quickly so that we can get started. All right, be right back. All right, so I filled out the bills that I'm going to be owing for this month. And again, that is for October 5th through November 1st. And right off the bat, we have my HOA, and that is going to be $8, and it's going to be due on the 5th. Paramount Plus, one of my subscription services. Shout out to any Big Brother watchers or Amazing Race watchers out there. I'm thoroughly enjoying these seasons so far. Comment below if you watch any of the reality competition series. I'm definitely a Big Brother and Amazing Race fan. I have watched Survivor as well, but I'm definitely digging the hour-and-a-half episodes. It just gives you more to watch. All right, so that's $7.93, and it's going to be due on the 6th. All right, Wow Presents Plus is $5.37, and that is due on the 8th. And then I have Apple Care Plus for my phone, and that is going to be $9.99, and that is due on the 8th as well. And then my iCloud storage at $10.69, and that is due on the 8th. And I'm happy to say that my internet is back down to $54.99. My promotional period of a year ran out back in August. And so for my September budget, I had to budget the new amount, which was $69.99. But I was able to call immediately and get my rate back down to $54.99. However, the amount wasn't going to take effect until this current month. So I had to pay the $69.99 for September, but now I'm back down to $54.99 for the remainder of, I think it's another 11 months. So very happy about that. And that's going to be due on the 9th. Oh, I also was able to negotiate a higher speed too, which was awesome. All right, and then we have Amazon Prime. Is anyone going to be taking advantage of Prime Day deals coming up? I will try not to because I'm trying to stick to a budget, but they are tempting, aren't they? All right, so that's going to be due on the 12th. All right, and then Netflix is $16.71, and that is due on the 15th. All right, and then my SiriusXM radio, that is $8.25 and due on the 16th. And then my monthly massage, which I can't recommend enough getting a monthly massage, just a way to treat yourself. Self-care is super important, and you don't realize how much you tense your body up until you get a massage, and that just all goes away. So if you can afford it and you can put it in your budget, I definitely recommend getting a massage. It's just one of the highlights of my month. So that's $64.95. I go to Hand and Stone, by the way. I know that there are a lot of other great places out there too. All right, and so that is due on the 25th. And that is going to be all the bills that I owe in October. But as I said, the budget runs through essentially November 2nd. And I have a couple of bills that are due at the 1st of the month, which are my Apple TV Plus, my Patreon, my electric bill for November, and my water bill for November. So Apple TV Plus, $7.52, and that's due on the 1st. Now, what is everybody watching on Apple TV these days? I was watching Ted Lasso and The Morning Show, but I need to get some new shows that are on Apple TV. So if anybody has any recommendations, please let me know. I'm glad to see that Morning Show is coming back very soon, but I really do miss Ted Lasso. It was such a great show and such a feel-good show, too. I don't know if I've ever watched a show that just made me just happy all the time. Like that show did. And so I definitely miss it. I'm sad that I only did 3 seasons. But looking for some new shows on Apple TV Plus. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. All right. And then I subscribe and support a Patreon at $5 a month, and that is due on the 1st. Okay. And then we get to my electric bill and my water bill for November, which I don't know the totals for at this time. But I just like to budget kind of an average amount that I usually have to pay. And so for my electric bill, that is going to be $150 due on the 1st. And then my water bill at $100, and that is due on the 1st. Now, with it now becoming fall, I mean, kind of fall here in Florida, it doesn't really get that cold, but it is cooling off a little bit. So I'm anticipating that my electric bill will start to decrease and my water bill will definitely decrease. So hopefully the numbers will be a little lower than $150 and $100, but I'm going to stick with that until they actually do change. And then maybe for next month's budget, I will move those numbers a little lower. Okay, so that is going to be all of my bills for my October budget. And if we scroll down, that comes to $464.49. All right, so now we move on to my cash envelopes and my sinking funds, and that is where things are going to change just slightly. All right, so let me fill out my cash envelopes. I will be right back. All right, so with my student loans coming back, it is definitely taking a bit of a chunk out of what I usually budget for the month for my cash envelopes and my sinking funds. And on top of that, because I'm not receiving a paycheck from church choir, I'm going to have to kind of alter both my cash envelopes and my sinking funds. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm still trying to figure out the correct amount to budget each month for groceries and eating out. I had been doing $100 for each category, which I didn't really get a complete opportunity to see if that was the right amount due to me getting COVID in August and then my Disney World trip at the end of September. It definitely looked like I was spending a bit less on my groceries and eating out. So instead of $100 a month for groceries and eating out, which would come to $400, I'm actually going to be budgeting $350 for both of them, and that comes to $87.50. So $87.50 a week for groceries and eating out just for now. Again, if I don't hit those amounts, I will probably adjust that coming up in November. But for now, I'm going to stick with that. And then for car, I have to budget the exact same amount that I do every month because my gas doesn't change. I can't use less gas to get to work and back. So I'm going to have to still budget $200 a month for that. And that comes out to $50 a week, and that's usually for tolls and for gas. Nothing else car related should be coming up. 200 should be a good amount for that, and unfortunately I can't budget anything less. And now we get to fun money. But I'm going to be doing $150 instead. And same with miscellaneous. I usually budget $200, and now I'm going to be budgeting $150. Now you're going to see a little bit later in my final totals that I'm hoping not to spend that much on my cash envelopes, but we'll get there in a second. All right, so now let's move down into my sinking funds. And let me fill those out, and I will be right back. Okay, so here's the major change this month. Unfortunately, I can't budget anything in my sinking funds except for the kids' investment funds. And now the reason I'm still investing in that is come December for Christmas, I'm still going to be, investing $50 per niece and nephew into their investment accounts. And so I need to make sure that I have that amount come December when I actually do the investment. So that is still going to be $30. And then for the rest, unfortunately, I'm going to not be able to budget anything to go into my sinking funds this month. And that's okay. Now, if I do happen to make any extra money that allows me to do anything more, I will definitely put that money into my sinking funds. But for now, I'm just going to stick with budgeting for the kids' investment funds, but that is it. All right, and then I'm not expecting any extra expenses this month. So let's move on down to my investments. Now I have my 401k that I get through my full-time job, and that is taken out of my paycheck before I even see it and automatically invested. So it's out of sight, out of mind, and that's just how I like it, so I don't have to worry about it. But I also have an online savings account, and I have a brokerage account and a Roth IRA that I fund. So let's start with my online savings account. All right, and every Friday I just put $10 into it. And so there are 4 Fridays this month. So I'm going to be doing $40, and that is due on Fridays. All right, next we have my Roth IRA, and I do $100 for that, and that is due at the end of the month. So that's going to be due on the 31st of October. All right, and then I have my brokerage account, and I put $150 into that, and that is taken out on the 1st of the month. So I'm sticking with my investments because I think investment is super important for your retirement, and skipping just 1 month will actually dramatically affect how much money you have in the end due to compound interest and how that all works. So I want to try to stay as consistent as possible with my investing. That way I have the most money when I need it. All right, so let's head on down and tally everything up, and this is where you're going to see something a little unusual. All right, so my income for the month is going to be $3,724.24. My debt is going to be $2,007.80 due to my lovely student loans coming back. And then for my controllable debt, $464.49. My adjusted cash envelopes at $1,200. And then my adjusted sinking funds at $30. Nothing for extra expenses, and $290 for my investments. And when you total that all up, you get a negative number. So you get negative $268.05. Now you may be asking yourself, why are you allowing yourself to go negative this month? And I'm really not trying to. I do have some things coming up with my full-time job that I'm going to be able to make a little bit of that money back, and I'm going to try really hard this month to stay under budget with my cash envelopes. And I do think that this number is going to decrease by, paycheck 4, and when I'm going to be potentially putting any extra money towards that. But my goal for this month is really just to hit 0 and to be breaking even for the month, because November is going to be a bit more lucrative because I'll have 2 church choir payments, and I also think it's a 5 paycheck month, and so I'll be able to make a little bit of that money back in November that I'm going to be losing potentially in October. So the $268.05 isn't a big deal to me, so I'm going to stick with what I have now. And we're going to see what happens. And as I said, this is a process, and you're not always going to get it right. And I know that we were striving for a 0-based budget. And with student loans coming back, it's just going to be creating just an extra step that I have to think about. That is what a budget is for. So I'm going to try to stick to what I have written here. And hopefully I will see a 0 or even a green number at the end of this month. But that is where we're going to leave this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great month, everyone. It's Halloween season, so I hope everyone has some costumes planned or a party to go to, and enjoy some of the cool fall weather that should be starting. And then it's going to be the holidays before you know it. So have a great month, everyone. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, have a musical day.